It's Friday night. That means another episode of, I don't know what we call ourselves these days. The ASEA 5, Redox 5, or
Redox 5. Yep.
yeah, Redox.
Something 5. But wait a minute, there's 6 of us, so
There's
whatever.
6.
Okay, the Redox 6 tonight. It's a special night. In any case, we'd love for you to share where you're calling in from so that we can welcome you to our call. We have people joining us from all over the world. We just love spending our Friday nights with you. I'm Dr. Maureen Hayes from Galveston, Texas. My background is as an anesthesiologist and pain specialist. But for the past decade, I can't believe it's been that long, for 10 years, I've been a full-time Redox educator. And we're going to let Dr. Marty Morin tell us exactly what that is. But I am joined tonight by our regulars, Jim and Ann Glenn. Jim and Ann are joining us from San Antonio. Jim is our big money man. He's a former stockbroker. And Ann is our nutritionist and personal trainer. And we're missing in action Dr. Lee Osler, our dentist extraordinaire from the state of Washington. He is celebrating his wife, his mother and father-in-law's 72nd?
70th. 70th wedding anniversary.
It's amazing.
Whatever. That's a long time to be married. You know, I can't imagine. I'm going on 25. And anyway, so kudos.
Sorry about that, Joaquin.
He's hiding. No, I love it.
So, guys, we want to thank you, those that are putting their chats where you're coming from. We really appreciate that. We love doing this.
Yep.
This is really a fan. We always say, right, Maureen, this is a fan favorite. But this one really is.
Yes.
With Marty and Beth. They are the animal gurus. Beth and Marty, how long have you been doing the animal webinars?
Goodness gracious, Beth started it.
Beth, when
I
did
started
they start?
They started, I found ASEA in early 2010, over 13 years ago. And I started the animal call the year after that. So in 2011, I started a monthly call, but we couldn't archive them. We just had to, it was recorded until the next one was recorded over it.
Okay.
So then about 4 years ago, we changed to the archive format. The webinar format, and we could archive them after that. So that's when we started building our library. So the whole thing has been going on since 2011, I guess. So hundreds and hundreds of animal stories, wonderful animal stories.
Yes. And we've got Anita. She is a guest this afternoon for a very special reason. I'll let Marty introduce her. But Marty, before we get going, can you go ahead? Because you are the doctor, as Maureen. Maureen's the MD. You're the doctor of veterinarian medicine. But can you explain why we're here? What are we discussing? And wait a minute, this stuff works on animals as well? Can you answer that, please?
Actually, it works on every living cell on the planet. But before we go there, so that includes plants, it would work just the same as with animals or human. But before we do that, I'll tell you that I've been a veterinarian 50 years, Western trained veterinarian. And so that means I knew absolutely nothing about Redox out of veterinary school. And so I came to this journey kind of kicking and screaming. Probably Maureen did too. But this works. And when it works and it transforms your life, you have to study it and you have to figure out why this is working. And we're going to explain that in just a minute. But I want to tell you also about Beth. Beth is a world-class horse trainer. Basically, she takes young horses and gets them ready to experience all kinds of different things, like traveling in a trailer, having a rider on their back. And I was on her farm one day when one of her horses saw their very first automobile and freaked out. So these animals are going to go to a track, and they're going to racetrack, and they're going to experience all kinds of noises and different things, and they have to be ready for that. And so Beth has years and years of training with horses. She knows horses inside out much better than I do. And my good friend Anita, we came to know each other through her brother, who is a urologist, a MD urologist. And he was training people on ASEA, and I was a very eager student because I didn't understand it at all at the beginning. And so Anita, gosh, I think we probably go back almost 10 years of knowing each other. And she's a horse lady. She lives in Ocala, Florida. Beth lives in Lexington, Kentucky. And the two of them have already had a bit of a contest, which is the better horse capital, Ocala, Florida, or Lexington, Kentucky.
We're not going there, Marty. We're not
going to go there. Well, they're going to arm wrestle at the end, so stick around. All right. So
shouldn't that be the best horse country? Just saying.
Say it again.
That we're in Texas.
Oh, Texas. Yeah, but not for thoroughbreds. So be quiet, Maureen. Quarter horses, I'll give you quarter horses.
Yeah.
All right. And so what are we talking about tonight? We're going to try to explain to you that redox signaling molecules are, quite frankly, why you're alive. I assume you're all breathing oxygen. We kind of do that without thinking about it. It's an involuntary process. We would have actually a lot of trouble stopping breathing, but we breathe without thinking about it too much. But quite frankly, beyond oxygen, the reason you're alive is that you're making redox signaling molecules. And I'm traveling tonight because my granddaughter is graduating high school, so I don't have my big bottle of ASEA. Maybe Jim can hold one up. But we found out about this technology which resides in that blue bottle, and it can help us quite literally live younger longer. And if you're at all interested in that, then hang around, because we've got some great stories to tell you about why this works and what it's done for us as individuals. I would not be sitting here if my life had not been transformed by these molecules. And then once I was curious, why is my body changing now? Because I'm drinking this product from Salt Lake City made out of salt and water. Somebody's got to explain this to me. So the guy that did that was Anita's brother, Dr. Frank Melograna, and Dr. David Silverman were sort of our tutors as we got started doing all this. And so it's been a tremendous journey. Meeting great friends like all the people on this call tonight. So I'm not the horse expert, but these two ladies are. Anita and Beth are both highly qualified and handle and support horses, whether they're well or whether they're sick. And we're going to talk about tonight a relatively young thoroughbred stallion who injured his lower leg. And I want you to understand that an injury to the lower leg of a horse could be any of the four legs. An injury to the lower leg is essentially fatal in Western medicine. And, I don't say that with any glee because I'm a Western trained veterinarian. I think Maureen is a Western trained MD. And what I want you to understand is that Western medicine does not have all the answers. They don't know what they don't know. And that was me at the beginning. I mean, I started drinking these redox molecules out of it wasn't even a blue bottle back then, but, and my life was being transformed in front of me. And so I said, there's got to be something to this. And as I say, I went to study under others that had been doing it longer than I had. But this is an amazing technology. We don't want you to miss it. And so I'm going to turn it over to Anita now to tell us the story of Rocky, the young 5-year-old stallion.
Hey,
Thanks,
real quick,
Marty.
Marty, real quick, can you just go ahead and share a little bit more in depth of your story about why this captured your interest before we get into Rocky, please?
Well, it transformed my life. I was an old sick guy at 66. I'm about to turn 76 in a week or so, a couple of days actually, and I am 10. That's 10-year journey. I am younger today, functionally younger today than I was 10 years ago.
Now,
Is that of interest? Is that of interest to anybody out there?
Now, I'm going to show a real quick picture, Marty, if that's okay.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, not that one. Don't look. So
We're coming
can
back.
Yeah. Can you go ahead and explain this picture, please?
All right. Well, the company came out with a topical gel form of the same Redox technology. And I was showing people photographs of older people like myself, older people's skin doing better when they applied the gel. And I showed some of those photographs to friends of mine, and they said, Marty, you're just being tricked. Those are Photoshop images. And no, I don't believe any of those. And so that made me a little mad. And so I went and started putting the gel on one side of my face next to my granddaughter, Audrey, there. I put the gel on twice a day for 28 days. We call this product Renew 28. So I picked 28 days. And I put the gel on twice a day for 28 days. And my face was transformed, the side that got the gel. And the reason I asked Audrey to be in the photograph is at the time she was 9 and had absolutely perfect skin. There's not a flaw on her skin. But the old guy beside her, if you go the side away from Audrey, you can see that's got deeper lines, and it's actually looking a little dimpled or like it's more wizened. But the side closer to Audrey with no moisturizer in the product actually looks thicker. Why is it thicker looking? It needed better cells. I gave it some Redox molecules and my body put better cells there in just 28 days. So I think you're going to go on to the current picture of Audrey, are you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yesterday
There
she
she
graduated
is.
high school.
Great.
Proud grandpa.
Wonderful.
Mm.
And then I just wanted to show, this has kind of been the face of ASEA, because that came from that same picture, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the same picture.
So I think everyone in the world knows you. They just don't know who you are. So, but I've been using this picture for 8 years. In every presentation that I do, which I do about 5 or 6 or more of those a week, I show your picture every time. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, now.
Anita.
Okay. Well, I'm here too because this has really transformed my life. Thank goodness my brother told me about this and actually brought me a case of it, not knowing that we needed more than a case to really see any difference, although I saw a difference pretty quickly. But I had given up horse breeding. I used to breed thoroughbreds back in Pennsylvania. And I had given them up because I had severe issues. I couldn't not only get on a horse, but I couldn't pick up a bag of feed or a bale of hay, let alone get on a horse or do things you have to do around a farm, right, Beth? You have to be very active. And I was 61 years old, but I felt like I was 80 or 90 some days. I'd go to the chiropractor 3 times a week, and I took all kinds of pain pills and tramadol, and which is an opioid. And when I got off of all that in a couple weeks, which again was a very short period of time, everybody doesn't have that kind of response. I did. I was lucky. I basically got back into horses. I moved to Ocala. The pretty Palomino in the back is my girl I got after I went, wait a minute, I can ride again. What am I doing? So at any rate, this story, and honestly, my goal is to help the people, because there's so many horses here in Ocala, that my goal has become to try to educate people around here about this product, and not just for them, but their animals, because I like most animals better than most people. But at any rate, I can admit that. So a friend a person in ASEA in Atlanta actually called me up one night and said, friend of mine lives north of you. They have a very injured young colt, and they could barely get a halter on them. And could you help them? Of course, sure, I'll try to help them. So they sent me some pictures, and they said the veterinarian that came out initially said to euthanize the horse. That was the major thing that the vet wanted to do. Like, yeah, let's just, destroy it. It had a very bad injury to the leg. And she said the other option is to take it for surgery 100 miles away down here in Ocala. And it'd be an $8,000 to $12,000 bill with a 30% chance of success. Well, she didn't have $8,000 to $12,000, and the chance of success didn't look too good, even if she did. And so, at any rate, she had reached out to me, and I said, I'm happy to get you some product. Well, about $200 of the product, and 6 weeks later, you can barely see a scar. I mean, there's just a tiny, tiny little scar after 6 weeks. And he was lame during that period. I mean, he was definitely, off, and he needed to heal. And so we kept applying the topical gel to it. We would have liked to get the liquid in him as well, but we could barely get a halter on this horse, so that wasn't going to happen. Beth can explain. She explains very well how horses can benefit from the liquid as well. But after 6 weeks, after about 8 weeks, the horse is sound. He is, and he's just a beautiful animal. His great grandfather's famous little horse named Secretariat. But he's so beautiful and has such beautiful spirit. And I went up there to see him because I wanted to make sure they were doing, the process of keeping it clean and plying and things like that. And he came out of it really well. There's another horse that's actually here that boards with me, and she came here lame, and she had been severely injured again a year ago. And they had been here a couple of weeks, and I just felt sad for this horse because it was just a companion to their other horse. And I asked the owner, I said, look, can I apply this topical gel? And I shook the tube up, and I took a little bit out, and I put it on my finger. I put it in my mouth, and I said, it's that safe. I can eat it. Okay. I said, can I put it on your horse and see if it will help? And she said, sure. And 3 weeks later, and this was last year, the horse is sound. They not only ride the horse, they canter, they gallop, they're teaching it tricks. I mean, it's such a happy horse again, and I'm happy to take care of it because the horse is happy. But now we've actually had several people using the same topical for summer sores, which, because we do have heat here all year long, we do seem to have a lot of cases of summer sores, and they're finding that it is getting that healing process much faster than anything else. In some cases, they weren't even healing, and now they're healing. So people are getting excited about it. They'll spend money on their horse before they spend it on themselves. But I've this is my little challenge in life now, is to try to teach people around here to just understand what it is. It should be part of the toolbox. And some people have already adapted that to be part of their toolbox in the barn. But I think you have a picture or a video of him that I sent you.
Yeah, but before we do that, let's just pop back to the fact that these redox molecules don't heal us. What they do is they help our cells work more efficiently.
Yeah.
So we'll do a little quick disclaimer. ASEA is a supplement. It's actually even a human supplement. It's not marketed directly for animals, but we find it works just as well for animals. So we're not here to tell you that this product is going to help you diagnose, treat, cure, even prevent any chronic health challenge. We're not going to tell you that because that's not what the molecules do. The molecules improve cellular efficiency, improve cellular communication, so that where the body needs to send resources, it now knows to send resources there. And so Anita's talking about putting a product on a badly injured leg of two horses, actually, and having them both respond quite nicely as their body now knows where the problem is and starts sending appropriate resources to correct that issue. So again, when we're telling the story about the stallion with the injury, it wasn't just one veterinarian that recommended euthanasia, right? It was two.
Right. It was actually two. Yeah.
Two veterinarians came out and looked at this horse and suggested euthanasia.
Same thing.
And
Maureen?
I am not, well, wait a minute. I'm not here to criticize veterinarians or human doctors. when they don't know, Redox is available. And when they don't know, it can help the animal or the human heal themselves. Remember, that's important. We have to heal ourselves. Then, what are they going to do? They're going to recommend the standard care in that area, and a badly injured leg in a horse in Florida is a death sentence.
Mhm.
This horse is not dead. Can you play that video, Jim?
Yes. I want to ask Maureen. Maureen, you have something you want to ask?
Yeah, forgive me. I rode horses when I was younger, but I probably don't know all the ins and outs. But why is that a death sentence why is
All right, well, let's talk about a horse's leg. This is the middle finger, right? Middle finger of my right hand. If I'm a horse, I'm standing on the end of my finger.
Oh,
The fingernail is the hoof of the horse, right? So 3 bones in here, 3 different bones in the finger, right? You twist, you break your finger like that, and very little blood supply. So you get down to the end of your foot and your leg, in this case of a horse, there's not a lot of blood supply. And these injuries usually get very bad. The horse is lame. There are very few, if any, 3-legged horses in the world for a reason. They just weigh too much.
yeah.
So, Marty, what was he acting like? Was he able to walk? Was he?
He
No.
was.
I don't
the
have
beginning.
that video that you had, Anita, of him.
He didn't
before.
want to get up, and after a little bit of time on the redox molecules, we have a video of him walking so slowly, and he's putting that right front foot down, and he's just trying to get no weight on it at all as he hops over to the other good leg. And of course, if he kept doing that, it would be that other good leg that failed.
Yeah.
See, that's the contracts here. It wouldn't be the bad leg because he wouldn't put any weight on it. It would be the good leg in the front that failed.
Mhm.
Now, Beth, have you seen this kind of an injury at your farm?
I, as Marty was explaining, I teach kind of equine kindergarten. So I kind of have a young, real healthy young horses who live outside, which is a really healthy way for a horse to live. We don't see, I have seen in many ways, we'll get older horses in that have this kind of issue because they've been rehabbed. They're rehabbing to go back to the racetrack. That happens periodically, but not very often. And the problem with horses, let's say, especially this colt, who's 5 years old now, and he probably weighed a good 1,000 pounds anyway. And when you have, as Marty very aptly put it, have all that weight on a very slender bone with very little blood supply, and horses can't lie down. You can't immobilize that limb. And you think, okay, let's put him in a sling and hang him from the ceiling. That changes his whole metabolism and everything else. So it really is, it's no exaggeration to say when a horse has a serious lower leg injury, that really, and the vets, as Marty was saying, the vets were doing what they thought was right for the horse. The horse was in such pain, and they thought, we don't have anything we can do for him. So that's why they both suggested euthanasia. And now we can show the miraculous video, which I think we've kind of given it enough of a preface. So we'll go ahead.
Now, I just want to make sure he did not have any broken bones. It was a bad, significant gash, correct,
Yes,
Anita?
correct. Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yep.
And again, the bad gash like that can be where they've obviously
Yeah.
recommended putting them
Yeah.
down.
Initially, the horse did not want to get up.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, let me play the video.
Amazing.
That's amazing. Sure. Is there any audio to it, Anita?
Yeah, Skip, don't play the audio. Anita
Yeah, you
can
don't
do
need-
the audio.
You don't need. You want me to whinny?
No, I want you to tell the story.
You be the narrator.
Where is it?
I gotta find it.
Jim just had it. There it is.
Okay, here we go. Let me
There you
enlarge it.
go. You can see he's a big, beautiful colt. He
Gorgeous.
does. He looks very much like Secretariat did.
Yeah.
And the area that he's in is very disorganized, and you could see that there was lots of things he could get hurt on, and that's what happened. But you can see he doesn't want to die. I mean, he didn't.
Yeah, I'm
he didn't
sorry.
wanna get up.
I intended not to play the
So
video,
for him
but
to
it
want to
played.
frolic around is just fabulous. And as I said, every week they send me a new video, and
Okay, now
Yeah.
I'll play it again, but how long is that after you?
okay, so
doing-
that video was
know.
about 7-8 weeks.
8 weeks.
From the was it 8? Okay, from the original injury. I was sending him to Marty as we were getting them. Yeah, from and the very beginning, he didn't want to get up. I mean, he did look like he wanted to die. I mean, I'm not exaggerating, but he was like, what do I do now? I'm just laying in the sand. But the farm, unfortunately, had so many metal objects around that were possible things he could get hurt on, and of course he did. They were trying to clean the property up. The husband had died. Long story, but any rate, things happen, and that was his injury. But he every week he gets better, and so he's
Yeah,
doing
and
very
so
good.
in the video you just saw, and yeah, play it again, Jim. Can you turn the audio off this time?
Yeah.
But so don't play the audio. But you'll notice that as the horse starts to move around in the paddock, he still has a little bit of a head bob because he is still a little bit lame, and he tries to rear up as Anita described in the video. He's frolicking around. He wants to frolic. And as he rears up,
Okay.
you'll note that he doesn't bring his weight down on that right front, but he wants to jump. He just knows he doesn't want to injure that leg again.
Right.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, and
I
I don't even think he's wrapped up now, Marty. I think they had even taken the vet wrap off, and
Yeah, he's a
and
huge
when they did,
horse.
oh, he's about 16.2. Yeah, 16.2,
Wow.
16.3. He is very big. It's bigger than he looks actually when you see him in person. I mean, I could barely get to his
But-
head. He's so tall.
But he has no hesitancy of popping up a little bit and coming down on his front legs.
No, I mean he knew that he had been injured, so he's gonna be
Testing.
trying not to land on it, because he still knows that he was injured. But as I said, every week he kept getting better and better and better, to the point where now we have a video, but he was so far away you couldn't really see him. I
Okay.
mean, we could see it, but it wouldn't do much good for them to see it. But they're definitely, he is not limping now. So, and I'm going to say it's like 10 weeks. We're about 10, 12 weeks out now.
And how's he? And that video was how long ago? Like 2 weeks ago?
That was 8 weeks after his injury.
Okay, but okay.
So
So
he
how
was
far- how
injured
long-
February. He was injured February 6th.
Okay. And how's he doing today?
He doesn't seem to have a limp at all. And you can't even see the injury. You can't even
No.
see where he was injured. I mean, this big ugly gash was, and in fact, it looked infected until I started to get them product. It actually looked like infected because the vets wouldn't do anything. They actually
Yeah.
said, no, put it down or take it for surgery, and they wouldn't do anything. So it
So,
was
Anita,
starting
how
to get
often-
infected.
How often were you applying either the spray bottle you said and
No.
or then the
No, we were doing just the gel because we couldn't. I mean, we would have normally wanted to give the liquid in either a syringe in the mouth, or rectally. So we get it into the body systemically, but
Yeah.
there was no way we could do this with a horse that couldn't even, barely get a halter on him. He had unfortunately been just out, in a pasture, and nobody really handled him. So they were, and I wasn't there. I only went up to see him a couple of times. But this topical we put on twice a day, and then they wrapped it up and kept it clean. And that's all, to twice a day. And that's actually what I did with the horse here. I myself did it, and it was twice a day.
Anita,
So-
do you see a picture of the original injury? Somebody is asking from the chat.
Oh, we do.
Can
Should
we?
we bring that up?
I don't have it.
Marty, do you have it on just a picture? Because I have it on a whole slide thing. I can pull up the slides if.
But that might keep the video from being played on. I mean, because Marty, didn't you say it was a pretty significant injury, correct? Or
Well,
Yeah.
we have a cleaned up
Slides.
version of the injury. I could go look for it, but I don't think it's important. What's important is that when you have a gash or a bad deep cut on the lower leg of, it could be any of the four legs of a horse. What I want people to understand is that Western medicine is limited in what they know. They know drugs, they know vaccines, they know deworming. They know actually quite not much about nutrition. I hate to say that, even though nutrition is really how we heal, if we want to get to the root of it. But so this kind of an injury recovers. The probability of a recovery is very low. So the veterinarians were basically offering a service to this owner to say, why spend a lot of money on a losing battle? Just euthanize the horse. They don't know that Redox is available. Human doctors, human dentists don't know that Redox is available in a supplement form. And if you want some, you need to find somebody who's in ASEA already and ask them how you can get started to use this. But again, we have access to a technology that Marty didn't have an injury to his finger, right? But I had all kinds of issues in my body that were not working properly. I start drinking this saltwater-based technology from Salt Lake City, go figure. And my body starts to correct all of its problems, right? When my friend asked me to try it, I said, sure. Now, I did think they might be into smoking some illegal substances, but I was willing to try.
Yeah.
And I wasn't puzzled. I wasn't puzzled until it worked.
Yeah.
That's when I was surprised. And that's when I needed a Dr. Frank Melograna and a Dr. David Silverman to explain this to me so that I could wrap my head around it. I have said to more than one audience that I'm a Christian, right? And we celebrate Christmas, and I can think of a tree, and I have a structure for how I'm going to decorate a tree, right?
Right.
I learned about these redox molecules, and it was like my brain had no file cabinet to put this information in. I didn't even know where to store it, right? It didn't fit any part of my Western medicine training. And so I don't want you all running off to your veterinarian and saying, we can fix every animal. Don't do that. Don't run off to your doctor or your dentist and say, hey, we've got this miracle cure. They hear about a miracle cure every day. Don't do that. Now, if you see your veterinarian limping, say, hey, you want to try some of this gel? Worked for a horse, I heard, down in Florida. Be very careful. The Western medicine has a paradigm, and this challenges that paradigm, and they will probably resist it initially. I did.
Beth, you're going to say
Jim,
something?
Yeah, Jim, can I make a comment? I think the thing that's remarkable about this is that Marty has an incredible background in Western medicine. Anita's brother has an unbelievable background. Maureen has a wonderful background, all in conventional medicine, very, very well-educated people. You don't need to have a doctor or even have access to a doctor to understand the power of these molecules. Once I heard that these were safe for every living being and all cells work the same, and you cannot overdose and you cannot hurt it, and it cannot interfere with any kind of Western modality you're using, any kind of drugs, anything else you're doing. I started pouring it into everything that walked because I just thought, this is just really cool. Let's see what happens. And when you see that, especially in an animal, I think that's what so many of us do for people. As Marty said, you see your veterinarian limping, then you talk to him about it for his own body. And most of us do that with people. Well, when you can do that with animals, you can't placebo an animal. So when you see this, when you see an animal that is amazing, we've had tons of lacerations on our farm, not to the extent that Rocky was suffering from, but the interesting thing is we've had, I always say, because we have young horses, they're like 800-pound Labrador puppies. They mash into each other and they jump up on each other and they knock each other over, and and so they're cutting themselves up all the time. And oftentimes we've had 2 or 3 real serious lacerations on the point of the shoulder. That's a very, very difficult place to heal. No, they get a lot of blood supply to that area. That's not a problem. But every single time they move, that it opens that laceration up. So you get vets that come and they stitch it up and they put a drain in and they try to do, and they say, but probably the stitches aren't going to hold, and it takes forever to heal those things. I have seen those kind of large, ugly lacerations heal in no time at all, with no residual, not even a scar. And so that's really remarkable. That horse is back, not only back in training. I mean, in my business, the faster a horse gets back in training, it's kind of like a monetary issue, a financial issue. But basically, it's the welfare of the horse. So that's really remarkable. When you see this, you don't have to have a doctor tell you that this works. Just try it on everything that walks, and you'll see.
Yeah.
That's right.
Maureen, can you kind of jump in and explain why this is not a drug? Why is it not FDA? Can you kind of play Dr. Osler's role here?
Sure.
Because I mean, it was a head scratcher for me when it was made from salt water, but I didn't care because I saw what it did to my best friend's, what it did to his family. But a lot of people look at the label and go, it's a dietary supplement for human consumption and it's made from salt water. But why can't, and why do we talk in code talk? Why can't we say the diseases? Why can't we do that?
Well, because it's a supplement. And, we have a ton of medical professionals, as you can even see from this call, who are involved. But because we're licensed, this is not a drug. It was originally developed by a medical company that was trying to get FDA approval as a new drug. They could not determine something that's called an LD50, sort of an archaic gold standard where 50% of the animals that you give it to perish. This is used for, toxicity studies so that we can come up with dosages that are safe and all. So the original company was trying to go for that. There's a lot of money in coming up with new drugs, but they couldn't, because they couldn't determine that. The FDA said, you do not have a drug. You have at best a supplement. They lost their funding because there's not as much money in supplements as drugs. And interestingly, their mother company was selling them off like a fire sale. Our founder was on the board, bought the rights to the technology, hired a team of scientists who were led by an atomic medical physicist who was able to stabilize these molecules in solution. Now, these molecules are well known in the body. And even at the time that I got involved 10 years ago, my medical school had been granted a $10.5 million COBRA grant, NIH grant, to study redox signaling in the body for cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative, orthopedic, diabetes, cancer, obesity, aging, you name it, all in the body. The miracle comes with stabilizing these molecules in solution. Now we look at it on the back of the bottle, on the back of the pouch, it says salt and water. That's the starting ingredients. That's because of different regulations that say what's in it. It's like if you look at a loaf of bread, it's going to tell you that it's got flour and salt and water or whatever in it. So if you put all of those things into a bowl, you get a bowl of goop. You put it into the oven, you bake it, that's where the miracle happens, and it turns, from goop into bread. Same thing with this. It's all about electrons looking for a place to rest. So you take crystals of salt and you put them into solution, into water. That's a lower energy state. So it dissolves into the water and forms something we call saline. This is extremely pristine saline. Then the process that it goes through is that they take electrolysis and they push energy back into that solution that breaks apart all of the bonds. What ends up happening is that small, tiny molecules that are highly reactive are formed. These molecules are able to be directly absorbed into the cells. They don't have to go through a receptor site or sodium potassium channel, any of that. Directly absorbed into the cells where they turn on different processes. They then communicate with the cells that are next to them, and that causes a cascading or a domino effect, almost like dropping a pebble in a lake and getting a ripple effect from that. These cascades turn on and run through the body, causing us to be more resilient to stress and having better overall wellness. So that's what happens. We start with saline, but we don't end with saline. We end with these redox signaling molecules that are highly reactive, full of energy, that impart that energy to the cells, that allow the cells to work better, like Dr. Marty was describing earlier. So in any case, when our company took it over, what's really interesting with the Redox product is that they knew all the toxicity studies have been done. It's 100% non-toxic. That's why Beth and Anita and Dr. Marty are saying, put it on everything that walks, put it on everything that has a cell, because we can't hurt anybody with it. It's 100% non-toxic. They knew what these molecules were capable of, so they brought it to the people and they let science catch up. Now our company, as you know, is coming out with more and more new products, but it's a little bit different. We are doing the science first. The science is there and they're bringing the products. They're doing the science and then bringing the products that fulfill those different reactions and all. So it's a little bit different than our original flagship product, but the redox signaling molecules are still the star. And that's kind of how they get to be what they
Well,
are.
one of the things that people keep coming to me and saying is, you know, this comes from salt and I'm on a salt restricted diet. Well, when the saline goes into the process Dr. Hayes is talking about, the sodium is taken away from the chloride. Now it's a sodium ion and a chloride ion. It is no longer salt, folks. When you take the hydrogen ion away from the oxygen ion, it's no longer water.
Right.
So understand that there's real science behind this. It's been studied now for, well, the redox technology in the blue bottle of ASEA. Hold it up again, Jim. The redox technology in that blue bottle has been studied probably for over 20 years, 13 of it or 14 of it in the form of a company called ASEA. But longer than that, studied, and they knew it was working, and they knew everybody who drank the product straight off the machines they were making it from were doing better. They didn't understand why. And now we have study after study that shows that genes are turned on, athletes have better performance. We even have a study in mice that shows that mice exposed to this for, I think, maybe only a week. Mice exposed to this for only a week were able to run 29% further than mice that couldn't or had not been exposed to it. Now, I can tell you as a veterinarian working with all kinds of animals from monkeys down to mice, you can't trick them, right? You can't make a mouse run 29% further. It's impossible. You can't trick a dog or a cat or a horse or a cow. There's no, as Beth said, no placebo effect here. And one of the images that's got me kind of excited about this at the moment, Jim, is we hear so much about the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control. Right. It's all in the negative, right? Centers for Disease Control. Well, what is the word in the middle? Dis-ease. Dis-ease, right? We have a guy who does trainings in this format quite frequently, Russell Mariani. I want to call him Dr. Russell Mariani because he's that good. But he talks about this idea of dis-ease, right? The lack of ease, the opposite of ease, not having ease. Would you guys like to have ease in your life? Would you like to have balance restored to your life? That's what happened for me. My body started to correct all of its problems because I was drinking a product made from salt and water. Well, quite frankly, you are salt and water.
Yeah.
If you want to look at the major component in your body right now, it is essentially saline. It's salt water. And your body is making these redox molecules out of that same salt water ASEA is doing in a plant in Utah. So this is serious science. This is the best science, and I've been around science my whole career. This is the best science I've ever seen. And watching results, not just for a horse down in Florida or on a horse farm in Kentucky with Beth, or all kinds of animal stories on, I want Beth to do her story about the animal webinar, because it's a powerful tool for you folks. Just go into the animal webinar, listen to stories about roosters or cows or dogs or cats or goats or parrots doing better. And of course, we've got all kinds of testimonial sites of humans doing better. Why? We're getting a chance to rebalance our redox molecules at a cellular level. This is all about cells. And then your body can do better, or your animal's body can do better.
Beth, can you jump in and share your story and why you got into this in the beginning, and then share more about the animal webinars, please? You're muted. You're muted, Beth.
Yeah. Thank you. I was trying to be quiet while everyone else was speaking. I really didn't think I had any kind of issue. I wanted to, my husband is in his mid 70s. I'm in my late 60s, and we are still training racehorses every day on our farm. And this is what we love to do more than anything else. And I love the idea of being young, living younger, longer. When I saw this, and I read the science, it made so much common sense. Just think about it. If we can help our cells work more efficiently the way we were when we were younger, and everything works more efficiently, we're going to stay younger longer. I want to keep riding horses till I'm 90. It's something I love to do. So I jumped on board saying, I want to prevent anything from happening. I love this idea of having my body work more efficiently for a longer period of time. I always say my mantra is happy, healthy, dead. That's kind of just the way I want to be. So I love that concept. We started drinking it. I realized at the same time I started getting educated to all of this and how safe it was. I started giving it, I'm an animal lover. I've been working with animals my whole life. I started giving it to animals, and my belief system grew to such an extent. In the meantime, I had a profound personal experience with this with a chronic issue that I'd had my whole entire life, with severe one-sided headaches that I've had since I was 11 years old. No medication has ever touched them. Nothing's ever fixed them. It was just something that I had learned to live with. And after about 6 months on the product of just feeling, like I'm going to live better longer, I wasn't going to fix anything. All of a sudden it occurred to me, when did I have my last headache? And I had them about once every 4 to 6 months from the time I was 11 years old. And I am here to tell you, to this day, it keeps getting to be a better and better story, because for the last 13 years, I have not had one of those headaches, which when I have headaches, I am wiped out for 2 days. I do not function when a headache comes along. First, I go blind, then I can't speak, then I have to be in a dark room for 2 days. So that was life-changing for me. But in the meantime, I was just telling everybody, I was like unconscious, telling everybody about this cool stuff that can't hurt you. Try it and see. And it was just remarkable what happened. We started those calls, as I said, that morphed into webinars. The website is animalwebinar.com, and it is password protected in case someone slips and makes something that might sound like a medical claim. So we have to password protect the site. The password is associate with a capital A. when you go into the archives. So just click archives, and there are at least 40 archives there, little thumbnails, so you can kind of go through and see. Obviously, the vast majority are cats and dogs, but we've had snakes. We even had a goldfish that had a remarkable. It was really amazing. I mean, it really is. Ferrets and guinea pigs and goldfish and birds, lots of birds. And all living cells work the same way. So it's once you see the value of what these have to offer, how can we stay quiet? How can we not tell everyone that walks? I will say too, that something exciting happened this last week. For the sake of his privacy, I haven't asked him if I could share this publicly, but the partner of the largest equine hospital in the world is their hospital is about 7 minutes from my farm. And he was diagnosed about a year and a half ago with a very serious disease. He's in his late 70s. And someone who told someone, and he contacted me and said, I heard you have something that might help me. And I gave him Dr. Osler's book. And he and his wife are now drinking 8 ounces of ASEA a day starting this morning. So it's very exciting. Wow. So what Marty said don't try to go to your veterinarian and say, give this to all your animals. See if your veterinarian hurts. And then that's the way you open that door, because when he feels better, he's going to look at all the options, just exactly what happened to Dr. Morin. So I'm very excited about what's going to happen to my friend. I'm feel pretty certain he's not going to give it to every horse in his hospital, but he certainly is going to feel better himself. So that's wonderful.
We've got a question. We've got a question in the chat. I think would be good to address. It has to do with this concept of a disease where the cells are growing too rapidly and growing abnormally and growing out of control. And what they're worried about is that the molecules will help those bad cells work better. The answer is absolutely not. Why? Your body knows what's normal and what's abnormal. And so when you put these molecules back in, your body is knowing better, if that's a way to say it. Your body knows something right now, or you'd be at the Undertaker, right? Now, if you're an adult, your body doesn't know everything that's going on, and it could know better if it had a way to amplify the signal and communicate. First of all, the cells work more efficiently, but also communicate better around the body, so things start to know. And so the body knows where there are problem areas and where there are things working normally. And so if there are these bad cells that shouldn't be there, now they may not be there because they're growing out of control, and the body will know and start to work on that issue, but they may not be right because they're infected with a bacteria. That's abnormal, right? You want your body to know where the abnormal is. And then your body has not forgotten how to correct its own problems. It just needs the right information, right? If you want to get to the address, first of all, you have to know what the address is. And then you have to know the best route to get there and what to take along the journey. This is what these molecules do. They make sure your body knows what's wrong and what to bring to the party to correct that problem. Your body has not forgotten how to correct its issues. It just doesn't have the information that it used to have, as Beth said, when you were younger.
Hey, now I want
to. Part of it,
yeah. Okay, go ahead, Anne.
Yeah, you were talking about, we don't need a doctor, we don't need medical, because really the testimony pages, well, Beth was saying, you don't need to run to get, the medical experts, get on my call, get on the 3. You can use the resources, you can use the tools like the animal webinar. I send that so many times. You can use the testimony pages that, Alan Noble's put together beautifully. DiscoverRedox.com. There's testimonies there. There's intros there about the science. And Marty, I love, since we're talking about animals, I love the 10-minute clip that you did, Animals Heal Naturally. Some people may not even realize you made that, but I love that short video because it talks about the body's ability to heal itself. So I think people, they're going to learn tonight from experts, but when they leave here, they can use the tools that Asia's beautifully put together, y'all have beautifully put together, that they can point to those. I mean, just today, I've had people ask me, give me a testimony on this and that. And animal was one of them. But like I said, loved hearing from y'all's archives and hearing from, because we don't have the answers, but there are people who have such great stories. And I loved tonight's story about Rocky. So thank you.
I do want to bring this up though, guys. I've had 10 lower back surgeries. I had nerve damage in my left thigh from my scar tissue. I still have some discomfort. It hasn't made me 15 again. Maureen, can you maybe touch on that, or Marty? Guys, I'm 65. I've had a few things going on in my life for a few years. It's not going to magically poof. My magic wand is somewhere. Redox isn't a magic wand. It's going to take time for your body to fix it. You may need more of the molecules. You need to give it time. You can't give it a week and go, okay, time's up. It didn't work. Either Marty or Maureen, can you please touch on that? Because I don't want people to have the idea that we're saying everything is addressed like that. Could you please touch on that? And we got 3 minutes. Maureen?
Well, I was going to let Marty, because I get to talk all the time. Marty, do you want to?
Okay, Marty.
No, you go ahead. Now understand, folks, this woman that's talking to you is boarded in how many things? Pain.
I was double boarded, anesthesiology and pain specialty.
She knows what she's talking about. Listen to her.
Well, thank you, Marty. Well, here's the thing. You didn't get sick overnight. You're not going to get better overnight. This is not pixie dust. It's physiology, where this is a biohack. It's a bio-replenishment. These little molecules are made in the mitochondria of your cells. You have tons of these mitochondria, but unfortunately, they're the powerhouses. It's where energy is made. You have fewer as you get older, about 10% less mitochondria per decade after puberty. So by the time you get to be my age, you're running on fumes. And it's really interesting to hear everybody talk about it, about living longer, younger. I'm in my 60s. I'm 63 and a half. And, I'm looking at Beth and I'm looking at Anita and I'm looking at everybody on here and I'm thinking, I'm counting the years. So I'm like, these guys do not look their age. I think we all look pretty good. But anyway, I digress. The mitochondria, we have fewer, and the ones that we have don't work as well because they're affected by stress, including the toxins in our air, our food, our water, electromagnetic fields, you name it, are going to cause our mitochondria not to work as effectively as they did when they were younger. So what we're doing is we're kind of bypassing them. We're directly refueling our body with these molecules. We're correcting any imbalances or deficiencies so that our cells have the machinery they need to work effectively. Doesn't matter how high the octane is of the fuel you're putting in your body with your supplements and your food, if you don't have the machinery in the cells to make that work. So that's what we're doing. Give yourself, you're worth it. I sound like a L'Oreal commercial. Give yourself some time. These things cannot not work. They have a special job to do. Whether or not you feel it or not may just be determined by what they're working on, right? But the more good you can do for your body, the better response you're going to get. I like to tell people, if you're sitting on the sofa with a clicker in one hand and a Big Mac in the other, you may need these molecules just to keep you alive. If you're sleeping well and exercising and eating well and doing all the things we know your body needs to thrive, then you're going to get a bigger bang for your buck. So do your body some good, but this is foundational. This is going to make everything else you do work better. So look at all these faces on here. Look how beautiful, how young. That picture of Dr. Marty said is famous. I'll tell you what I used. And our new clay mask, I had bruised my hands. And I was showing this the other night. It wasn't like your mask, but I'll tell you, I had used the mask on my hand and then was using the Renew. This huge bruise went away in 2 days. But then I looked at my hands. So one hand looked so good and the other one looked like an old lady's hand. Oh my God, I was not going to be Dr. I immediately got the stuff on the other hand.
Giving it out. Yeah.
Yes,
That's
I
awesome.
wanted them to look the same. So anyway, thank you, you guys.
Well, as we wind this thing down tonight, because I think we're running out of time, I have a question for you. What if what we're telling you is true? Do you want to take a chance and miss this? All we're asking you, get back to the person who brings you to this call, ask them how you can get some of this, give it a try. That's the best decision. Well, no, I've got, beautiful family, a beautiful wife. And so I've made some good decisions in my life. But one of the good decisions I made was to try these molecules, and it's transformed not just my life, but my wife is living younger. Our daughters are living younger. Our grandkids are doing better. This is run right through the whole family to help everybody and all kinds of other people we've talked to along the way live younger, longer, and that's important. Give this product a try. And this particular recording that we're doing tonight is available to you in Redox Matters, right, Jim? Redoxmatters.com. Talk about where they can see this, or show it to somebody else.
Yeah, I will have a Vimeo of it on my Vimeo channel. That will be in the CU United within the hour. Dr. Lee Osler in redoxmatters.com, he will have it available, I think he said tomorrow evening. So it will be accessible. And I'll make sure that everybody here gets it if you want to send it out. So
it's great.
I'm alive right now because my friend shared this with me 8 years ago. I was taking 500 pills. I was taking one of the pain medications for 25 years. And we have a pharmacist on our group down in the Rio Grande Valley. Said that doctor and pharmacist, well, maybe they should be put out to pasture. He said it a little bit different. But Maureen, I know you're pretty happy that Mr. Latham called you and shared it with you with the condition of your husband. And like me, I lost my mother and Ann's mom to a serious issue, and I know you did as well. I'm just lost for words. I mean, the most wonderful act my best friend ever did was share it with me, and it wasn't just also for my health issue, but we had a call a couple of weeks ago, or was that last week, that we had 10 unbelievable people 2 weeks ago. That was life-changing. Yeah. So
Can I make one last comment, Jim?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So when my brother and I started ASEA back in 2012, my mother was 91 and nobody had lived in our family past 91. Okay. She squeaked into 91. She lived independently and very well to 99.
Wow.
And there's no doubt that this kept her well. She did deteriorate. She played bridge till she was about 98, and all her younger friends had died. And she was the only one left at this over 62 place that played bridge at her level. And so she didn't have anybody else to play with at that point. She could still play. She was still mentally fine, physically fine. Broke her hip at 96, had a hip replacement. And doctor said, people die at that age having a hip replacement. Yeah. She was back in her independent apartment in 3 weeks after rehab. Amazing. And let me tell you, I bought a bottle of ASEA. I took the label off so they didn't know what it was because I didn't want them to give me a hard time. But I poured ASEA down her throat. She normally drank 8 ounces a day, but poured down a bottle a day for a couple of days, and she did fantastic. So yeah, awesome. You're not too old to start this either, is my point.
That's right.
Yes, absolutely. We have a 95-year-old that just started a couple of weeks ago. So guys, we have Russell.
I'm 72. I'm 72.
Awesome.
I was just going to ask.
Yeah, I'm 72. Yeah, but I feel 50. See, it's more important how you feel.
That's it.
Right?
Amen.
It's much more important how you feel.
Live younger, longer, and with more endurance, with more strength, and being able to recover. Who doesn't want that? So guys, next week we have Russell Mariani. Thanks for doing the intro on him, Marty. So we've got some pretty cool things lined up. Actually, we have Chuck Funky lined up for the last week of the month.
Wow.
So, guys, this is so cool. Maureen, I know you've got some travel weeks coming up, and I know there's going to be some people doing that over the summer. So, guys, we'll be here. We may have a few other people filling in, but please come back. We do this as a pay it forward to the world. Everybody deserves to hear this. We're in 33 countries. Not many people know anything about this, and the only way they're going to hear about it is if we talk. Everyone deserves to know. So, guys, thank you. Get back to the one that got you on the call, like Marty said. Get on the stuff and stay on it for 6 months to a year. Don't just give it a week or two or a month or two. Get on it and get, like Maureen's been sharing. We have a lot of phenomenal products that are all integrated, can be all integrated with Redox. The compound effect of that, all of those, is life-changing. Right, Maureen?
Absolutely. You're worth
Yeah.
it. That'll be our new
Yes.
tag.
Make the bet. Yeah, I'm an ex-stockbroker, so you want to make the best investment in you. Thank you, guys.
Good
Anita,
point.
thanks.
Night,
Thanks.
everybody.
All right,
Love you guys.
thanks.
Thank
See
you.
next time.
Bye-bye.
Y'all have a good memorial.
Okay.
Yes.